Hi guys, welcome back. I have to apologize really quick because I do realize that I am way late on getting any video up. I meant to do a reading not this past weekend but the weekend prior to that, and I didn't get it up. And I wanted to do a video this weekend and I didn't get it up. So I'm actually not going to post this video until I get my reading up tonight, because I'm embarrassed. So I am very sorry. It has been hectic, but in a good way. Just with Momo, for those of you who are not aware of who Momo is a little puppy, a mini dachshund. My youngest son and his girlfriend purchased Momo about a month and a half, well, maybe about 2 months ago now. And he splits his time between her home and our home. But it seems like he spends a little bit more time at our home, which I don't mind. I love, actually. But with her situation, she's the only one. It's just her. So when she has him, everything falls on her. With our situation, we all kind of pitch in, even though it's my youngest son's puppy. I help out a lot. We all kind of help out a lot, but my youngest son works during the day, so when he goes to work, I puppy sit. And my attention is on Momo 110%. He's a puppy, so he's into everything. I'm constantly keeping my eye on him. He's a stinker, but he's a loving little ball of energy, and I just love it when he's over. And I have been putting all of my effort into Momo, and by the time my son gets home from work, I will hurry up, get ready for the day, pack orders, do whatever I gotta do, make something for dinner, and then I'll say every day, I've got to do a video tonight, I've got to do it. But by the time that time comes, I am exhausted and I don't do a video. So that's what's been going on, and I apologize. But Momo is, he is a handful, and kudos to all of you who have those fur babies, because, I didn't realize how much energy they have and how very similar they are to watching a toddler. Okay, so he is a little stinker doodle, and he knows, it's so cute because he knows when he has something that he's not supposed to have. He loves running into our room and going under the bed, and I have a bad habit of eating in bed. Okay, so I know that there's probably crumbs and chip debris and candy pieces and all sorts of things, and so he'll go under there and he'll come out with something that he knows he's not supposed to have. But that is why I pretty much keep my eye on him 24/7. We did purchase some baby gates, so we have baby gates in the house. So he is limited to the living room, which is a decent size, a portion of the hallway, and the kitchen. I have blocked off my workspace because there's just things in there that I don't want him to get, like packing peanuts and, like little pieces of plastic and things like that. So I don't want him to choke on anything like that. So I blocked that room off. But he has all of the kitchen, all of the living room, and that portion of the hallway. So I can kind of chill when I'm watching him because I know where he can get to, but he still manages to find things in the living room and in the kitchen that I had no idea I had. A little string or something, anything. So there's like no way I can concentrate and do a video. But I am planning on doing a video tonight, regardless. He is going home. He's going home with his mama tonight. So we are going to have just a regular, quiet home. I do have to run to the store and get some groceries because we are out of just about everything. We're eating like air tablets at this point. But I have to get some groceries, and then I'm going to go home and put everything away, figure out what I'm going to do for dinner, and then I'm going to sit down and do this reading because I've been wanting to do this reading for quite a while. And I've thought about it because I did ask in my last video, other cases to read about. At that time, I think Athena, the little girl, I think, was she 4 or 5, that went missing, and unfortunately they found her not alive. So I had asked if there were any other cases that you guys were interested in. Somebody did mention Athena. And then there's another one as well that I got to look into. But I was debating about whether or not to do a reading on Dylan, which is one of the roommates to the 4 roommates that were murdered. Xana, Ethan, Kaylee, and Maddie. And then we have the 2 surviving roommates, which is Dylan and Bethany. You don't hear a whole lot about Bethany, so I don't know if that's just because she just isn't part of the story. You know, she wasn't listed in the affidavit. She hasn't really come out and spoke. Then again, neither has Dylan. But there are some questions. People are wondering, you know, why did Dylan, you know, lock her door? Why did she feel the need to lock her door, but yet not call police? And I thought about it, and I thought, well, you know, we all know that this is a party house, right? So there's noises, people coming and going. But when you think back to all of the police cam footage, when there's been any kind of get-together going on at that house, it's loud, all right? People are coming and going. People are outside. People are on the roof. People are at the windows. There's music playing. You can hear the music from the outside. So I'm assuming that a party is loud, right? So Dylan would be used to noises, but I don't think that the noises that were going on in that house could be mistaken for a party, because it wouldn't be the same types of noises. Where's the music? Where's the front door and the people coming and going? So that is something that I'm curious about too. So I don't know if you could literally say, well, you know, Dylan probably thought that there was a party. Well, yeah, maybe, but it just didn't sound like a party. I'm sure that it was, for the most part, quiet. Everybody went out that day and did their own thing, or that night. Maddie and Kaylee went out and did their thing. Xana and Ethan went out and did their thing. I'm assuming that Dylan and Bethany, whatever they did their thing. And they all kind of came home to crash. It kind of sounds like Xana ordered food, and my guess is they were going to eat that food and they were going to go to bed. So it wasn't a party night. It just wasn't a party night. So why then, you know, would she mistake this as party noises? And then why wouldn't she investigate a little bit further? And by investigate further, I don't mean go out into the house and look around. But I know that when I'm laying in bed, I share my bedroom, or our bedroom shares a hall with one of our sons, right? Obviously, all the bedrooms are together. The one particular son whose room is connected, or not connected, but we share a wall with, everything that happens noise wise is amplified by like 100. Okay, so something can simply fall off his bed like a book, and it sounds like a tornado happened in there. So I can't tell you how many times I've been laying in bed at night and I'll hear something next door and I'm like, oh my God, I hope he's okay. I think of the worst. I'm like, oh, maybe he, you know, that's just me. I always think the worst. And the first thing I do is I'll holler. Well, it depends. It depends on, you know, if people are sleeping, I don't want to like holler out and ask, are you okay? So what I'll do is I'll text him. I'll get on my phone and I'm like, oh, are you okay? I just heard a noise. And he'll respond and be like, yeah, LOL, I just dropped something, or, you know, whatever. But it didn't sound like a book dropping. It sounded horrible. Okay, so everything sounds worse than it actually is in the house. So I do wonder, I do question why didn't Dylan get on her phone and text, you know, Maddie, or, you know, Xana, or Kaylee, maybe not Ethan, but, you know, I question why she didn't text Xana, especially Xana or Maddie, and just say, hey, what was that noise? Are you guys okay? So there's, you know, and there's people talking about, you know, could she have been frozen in fear? Could she have been frozen in fear until the next day? I mean, I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't know if that's possible, if you can be frozen in fear for 8 to 10 hours. But And again, locking the door doesn't really mean much to me, because being at a house that you share or you rent with several other people, you may just naturally lock your door, you know, for privacy. There might not even be a reason for it, right? I mean, it doesn't mean that because you lock your door, somebody has come in or anything like that. You would just lock your door. I would do that. If I were sharing a space with 4 or 5 other friends, even if they were my friends, I would still want my privacy at the end of the night guaranteed. So I would lock my door. Okay, just as a preventative. So she may have just locked her door every day for privacy purposes. And when she looked out and she seen a person, maybe she just didn't think anything of it until after the fact, when they asked her, you know, when they discovered what happened. And then she went back and she thought about it and thought, well, you know what? Yeah, I did hear a noise and I popped my head out, you know, but then you have to question, if you pop your head out and you see a person wearing what looks to be a mask covering the majority of their face, and all dressed in black, that's got to be scary. That's got to be concerning. Like, that's not a party person. That's not somebody there having a good time. That's scary. That's a scary somebody. So I do feel like my first instinct, when I go back to my very first initial feelings, because oftentimes those are the ones that are correct, I feel like Dylan and Bethany are victims themselves. I know that they're not equivalent to what happened to Xana, Ethan, Maddie, and Kaylee. I know people are like, well, they're not victims, they're witnesses. I get that, right? But they are still victims in their own sense. It's nowhere, we cannot compare what happened to, you know, the 4 that were murdered and these 2. They're going to have their own set of issues dealing with this going forward. Possibly even survivor's guilt, right? Could be survivor's guilt. Well, why didn't he come in and get me? Or what if he did come in? That can mess up a person too. You know, just thinking about what you just escaped, you know. This person was literally 5 steps away from me, and he could have came into my room. He could have overtaken me, and I might not be here right now. That can make a person do one of 2 things, or both. You know, question why you were left and how do you move forward from that. Or maybe on the flip side, you can ask yourself, okay, well, obviously it wasn't my time. It didn't happen. Let me not focus on that and let me try to maximize my life every day going forward, right? So I don't know. I don't know these people. I don't know Dylan or Bethany. So I don't know what they're going through emotionally, but I do think that they do qualify at the end of the day as victims, because they still have things that they're going to have to deal with and cope with from going through this experience. But it is odd what happened with Dylan and everything that night. It's just, it is odd. It's weird. And, you know, that's what I want the reading to focus on, is what was going through, you know, Dylan's mind at that time. What was her energy like at that time? During the time that he was in the home, and then after. Did she ever leave her room after the fact? Did she ever go out and then go back in? You know, I've heard rumors about there being, you know, paraphernalia or drugs in the house. You know, did they go out and say, oh my God, we've got to call the cops, but we've got X, Y, and Z in here. We've got to get rid of that first? I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, don't forget, it's a party house, right? And we know for a fact that the police have went out there several times. They've had to go out for noise complaints, right? Why, if you're a party house, why would you keep drugs? We call it a party house. We don't call it a drug house. Where people smoking and doing things, yeah, drinking, yeah, right? But I don't necessarily know if this is what I would consider a drug house, because of the fact that the police go there and tell them to shut things down or be quiet or whatever the case may be. Why would you then keep drugs in that home? Why would you keep drugs into a party home? Would you want parties going on if you were stashing drugs? So I don't feel like there's an issue. I don't agree with the drug theory. but I am perplexed. I'm questioning, and it might be just the simplest of reasons behind her actions that night. It might just simply be that, you know, she didn't think that there was anything to worry about. Maybe he was visiting. Maybe he was a friend of Ethan's. Maybe he was a friend of Ethan's. Or maybe a friend of Kaylee's, right? Because Kaylee wasn't living there at the time. She was just visiting and spending the night with Xana. She was leaving. You know, could she have opened up the door and thought, well, you know what? Kaylee's here. Maybe he's visiting Kaylee and he's leaving. You know, and just shut the door, locked it, because that's what she always did, is lock the door, and then went to bed. Because hindsight is always 20/20, right? Looking back on the situation, you can start to tear the pieces apart and figure out what makes sense and what doesn't make sense. But prior to that, you don't necessarily think like that. You don't necessarily think the worst. And I honestly think that that's what's going on a little bit with Dylan. I just don't think she was thinking the worst. I don't think that she disposed of drugs. I don't think that she left her room. And as far as her reaching out to Xana or Maddie and asking them about the noises, maybe she did. How do we know? Maybe she did. Maybe the police know that. Maybe there was a text message sent from Dylan to Xana and said, hey, you okay? You good? And she didn't respond. Now, if that were the case, and we don't know, right? I don't know if they would necessarily tell us I don't know if that would come out if that were the case. But I thought about that too, and I thought, how many times in my own situation have I heard something, or I was worried about something, and I reached out to my sons, or one of them, or all of them, and I send them a text, and they ignore me. They don't respond. They respond like maybe 50% of the time. But the other 50%, I'm just left hanging, wondering what the hell's going on. So would she then, if she didn't get a response, would she just assume the worst? She might be like, well, you know what? It's quiet now. They must have went to bed. They're not responding, so they're sleeping, so I'm going to go to bed. It might be just that simple, right? But because we know what happened, right? We know what he was doing in that house. We are now questioning everything that she did or didn't do. And I feel like, you know, we just can't judge. We really, it's hard not to judge. We're humans, so we judge. But we're really just assuming, you know, these things. And I don't necessarily feel like there was any malice behind Dylan's actions that night. I just don't. I think that she was just in a situation where she seen somebody, thought he was there to visit somebody, closed the door, locked it out of routine, went to bed, and that was it. You know, that was it. But I am going to do a reading on it tonight. That's going to be the focus of the read, is her energy that night, after the fact, and what her current energy is. So those are going to be kind of like the three pulls that I focus on tonight. So, all right, guys, let me get into the post office and go get my few things. And then when I get home, I will start to record and we will see what happens. And then I'll upload this video because, like I said, I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed, and I apologize for being so late. Another thing, I should have said this at the beginning. Private readings are now open. You can reach me. You can reach out for a private reading. Again, I apologize to anybody who has reached out in the past couple months. I haven't been feeling it. I just haven't been feeling the groove. But I did do a couple of private readings here recently, and I enjoyed it. Everything went well. And I do feel like I'm ready for private reads. So I will also post something on my community page. So if you are interested in a private reading, please feel free to reach out and we can set something up. Turnaround time is usually within the next couple of days after you reach out. So I do try to do it as fast as I can, depending on how many are coming in. But yeah, so I will see you guys tonight. I hope all of you had a wonderful weekend, and I wish you all a blessed week. And I'll see you later. Bye.